All right, so back to everything that I was speaking to before, okay? Here's what I want everyone to remember and go over. So think about if you're on a basketball team. You're the coach of this team, okay? You got 30 seconds left in the game. You just took a timeout. You go out, you huddle your team together, and you say to the team, all right, guys, we're down by 3. There's 30 seconds left. We have the ball. Go out and score. That's your plan. What's your team thinking? What are you thinking? Okay? So think about, have you ever been on that team that someone gives you that plan and you say to yourself, okay, well, how am I supposed to do this? Or have you ever been the one to say, go out and score? So at some point, we may do one or the other. I want to go over your role as a leader, okay? And your role is to engage your team around objectives to ensure they feel they're part of something bigger than themselves. Now, we've spoken about the Gallup organization and what they do. So according to the Gallup organization, satisfied or happy employees are not necessarily engaged, and engaged employees are the ones who work hardest, stay longest, and perform best. So we're going to discuss 2 things: engaging your employees around the goals of the organization and what their own expectations are, and coaching employees to develop skill sets that will enable them to succeed. So we'll start by what is engagement, so that we all fully understand this. Okay? So according to Jim Harter, who's a PhD with Gallup, and he's their chief scientist on workplace management, he states, if you're engaged, you know what's expected of you at work, you feel connected to the people around you, you feel connected to the people you work with, and you want to be there. You also feel a part of something significant. So you're more likely to want to be a part of a solution, to be part of a bigger tribe. So how do we do this? How do we make everyone feel like they're a part of something bigger and not just doing what you ask them to do? So the first piece is we set up a rhythm, educating the goals of the organization and their own expectation. So right now you do this through your ACR, LCR process. You need to utilize this time to make sure that everyone knows what the organization's objectives are and what your expectation of your employees are. So that everyone knows both. What does the organization want? What's expected of me? What do you need me to go do? The second piece, explain the whys of everything that we're doing. So if I'm speaking to branded payments, there's a why behind it. It isn't just because Rick wants it or Rick needs it. There's a why behind it. And we all benefit. There's a bigger picture down the road, no matter what role you do. The next piece is follow up with the results. So I spoke about it this morning. Very important. We are diligent and consistent with teaching out where we're performing as a team, updating, so we know exactly where we stand to these goals and objectives, and that the team understands how they're performing and how they contribute to the goals. You yourselves are a part of this. Okay? So the next piece, I want to speak about coaching. Okay? So obviously I put up there a very famous coach. We all know who he is. I hope so. Alright, so here's the first piece about coaching. And this is where everything's going to be vital over the next few months. So, according to the top talent management website, right, TLNT, a lot of information on there that you can get that will help you. Nearly half of managers spend less than 10% of their time coaching others. Sometimes you chase the whirlwind, but you're not out there spending as much time coaching as you need to be. You need to dedicate time. You need to make time for coaching. You know, the joke is, do you make time to use the restroom? Yes. So you need to make time to coach. The stronger everyone is around you, the stronger you and your team perform.
Unless you're caught in the whirlwind.
Very important that you as a leader identify coaching opportunities and make that time. So the key point is planning. Utilize your coaching planner, plan your time accordingly, and ensure that you get to everyone that you're supposed to get to and make that time. That should take precedent. So one thing that I want to go over is establish credibility. That's important, okay? So we all take a lot of learnings, but from one of the books of our learnings, right, it was the best-selling book called Credibility. 60% or more of workers worldwide believe that their management was not honest with them and that they weren't capable. So, thinking about that, you think about how do you build credibility? One, you have to be sincere and genuine. But two, you have to have a strong understanding of what you're teaching and what your expectation is. Don't just read from a book, read from the playbook. Make sure that you yourself are engaged and that you can build credibility. If you're expecting someone to, let's say, sell cell phones, make sure you understand what cell phones are about. Make sure you understand the processes yourself, and you are now much more believable. Set specific follow-up times for the coaching that's taking place. Follow up around progress. That is a very key piece. It's one thing to coach. It's another thing to follow up. Here's how you're doing with the coaching. So this is something that we are going to be 100% on going forward, consistent in building the super strong team around us. And the last piece, recognize and or redirect. Okay? So when you think about that, if someone is executing what we've asked them to execute, are we recognizing that? Or if they're not, are we redirecting them? So keep that in mind. That is very important. So if they are, recognize them. Come up with a recognition system and have a recognition rhythm. And if they're not, address that immediately. Okay? So here's what I want to conclude with. Two main things. We need to engage our employees, then we need to coach our employees. One, so that they know exactly what's expected of them at work, and they know what the organization's goal is, which we just spent 2 hours going over with them. And the second piece, so they understand their roles and how they contribute. Cool?
Very cool.
Pan the room. All right. Now shut it off.